Take the case of a gold ring. If you look at it from the point of view of it being a ring, then it was born on the date the goldsmith gave shape to it. It will be dying when it is melted and reshaped. At the same time, you can look at it as gold. That gold was ever existing. It will never cease to exist. So when you look at the ring, two aspects are there. The gold aspect is there, the ring aspect is there. When I place that ring in my hand, is it ring or is it gold? Both. No, it is only one reality that is in my hand. It is not two. Then what is it? It is the non-duality of gold and ring. Ring is the manifest form in which it appears. Gold is the real substance it. In terms of the usage in the second chapter, where the first half dealt with the Sat-Karanavada, gold is the Karana, ring is the Karya. Ontologically, what is real? This gold is real, then it is Sat-Karanavada. Sat-Karanavada is Shankaracharya's. Narayana Guru adopts it. But what is real in my hand is gold appearing in the form of a ring. So don't you give any importance to the apparent form. Ring is the name I gave to it. The way in which it appears to my eyes is the form. So it is the form, Nama and Rupa. So the apparent world is distinguished with the help of Namas and Rupas. Nama Rupa. Nama Rupa Atmakam Idam Jagat. That is the way we have also to understand our own life. That is the way that Narayana Guru perceived his own life. When his body ceased to exist, it doesn't mean that he died. He is ever existing, ever living in our understanding, in our Chit. He himself taught us Chit is the reality. That is where we are now. That Chit, our pure consciousness, never ceases to be. It was never created. If there is a Chit, there it has to, just as if gold is there, it has to appear in some way. Without appearing in some way, gold cannot exist. An apparent form of the ring or chain or some ornament, it cannot exist without gold as the reality existing. So there is a non-duality of the real substance, gold, and the apparent form, ring. In the same way, there is a non-duality of Brahman, the causal reality, and the world, the effect, Karya. So there is a non-duality of Karya and Karana. That is where we are now, in the Darsanamala. At the end of the last chapter, Dhyaropadarshana, it was said, Sarvayeva Saha. That means everything indeed is He. Who is this He? At the very beginning of the first chapter, Dhyaropadarshana, it was stated that He is Parameswara. And then that He was called Bhagavan. All these are personified concepts. Such personified concepts of the causal reality is relevant and meaningful only where the apparent world is considered as something real. If it is real, then how was it created? But where was its origin? How was it created? Who created? All these problems arise. All these are answered in the first chapter in a very, very subtle way that goes. If you go into the depth of each verse, you will find that Narayana Guru has never deviated from the non-dual vision that he represents. That He that was mentioned at the very end of the Dhyaropadarshana as He is restated in the next chapter, Upavada Darshana. Upavada means deny. The Karya aspect, the apparent world aspect, the reality of it is denied. In the first chapter, it was accepted. Here, what was accepted there is denied here as Karya. No, this Karya is not effect. Real. Karna alone is real. Chideva nanyadavhadi chidaparamado navi yachanavhadi tadasat yadasat pannabhadicha. For understanding this verse as well as the next verse, we have to have an idea, a set of technical terms in Vedanta, Asti Bhadi Priya. This Asti Bhadi Priya goes in line with Sat, Chit and Ananda. In the next verse it will be said Ananda Eva Asti Bhadi. So Asti Bhadi and Priya is replaced by Ananda. What is the relationship between Sat, Chit, Ananda? That is how we are going to end at the termination of the chapter. How these are related. Sat, Chit and Ananda. These are basically related to the ultimate reality. Brahman is considered as Sat, Chit and Ananda. Or Atma is Sat, Chit and Ananda. Atma is a term that is used in Vedanta referring to two different contexts. One is Atma, that is Apnodi iti Atma, that is pervades the entire universe, is Atma. And oneself also is Atma. This oneself, my being also is pervaded by the same reality. So Atma is used referring to the self-being and also the all-inclusive substance, Brahman. There Brahman and Atman is the same, are the same. Such, that means ultimate undeniable existence, that we have already seen how it is in verse 6. The very same Sat, existence, when it is in a kind of abstract notion. The Sat, Chit and Ananda, these three are abstract notions referring to Brahman, that also is an abstract notion. When it actually exists, it exists not as a Brahman, it exists as the world. So the existence of Brahman, the sub-aspect of Brahman, when it becomes manifest in the individual being of everyone, it is the. They also means existence, but it's my own existence of my own personal being. See, I exist. So the Sat aspect of Brahman becomes actualized in life as a being, as being. In the same way, the Chit aspect, the consciousness aspect, when it becomes manifest and when it is experienced by each of us, is Bhadi. Bhadi means, Bha means to shine. It shines as our consciousness, personal consciousness. So it is Bhadi and Priya. The word Priya is not used here, instead Ananda is used. Priya. Priya means our likes and dislikes, our value notions. That is the Ananda aspect of reality become manifest. So with this idea in mind, only we have to go through these verses, especially verses 8 and 9. In verse 8 it says, in the previous verse it was said, it was concluded that through an experimental device that consciousness, Chit, is the ultimate reality. Vipajya avayavam sarvam egaigam tattradishyate chinmatramaghilam na anyat iti mayaviduragam. That reality of Chit in the being of anything, when it is divided endlessly, that means when it is analyzed endlessly, finally you don't see anything that exists there, but you know that something is there. Otherwise, you are dividing or analyzing something that was existing, and finally it cannot just disappear, but it disappears only from your view. Then where does it exist? In your consciousness, in your bodha. Finally, all the material entities, when you divide it or analyze it endlessly, finally you find that the essential content in it is nothing but Chit. Chideva. Chidapparamadonami. Vipajya avayavam sarvam egaigam. Take anything and divide it endlessly. Then at the end you find that only Chideva Nanyada. Egaigam tatra dishyate chinmatram akilam. Then you find that only Chit alone. Nehana. Chidapparamadonami. Na anyat. Nothing else is there. And there you become far away from the effects of Maya. Here Maya's effect. Maya has two meanings in Vedanta. One is related to ontology, the substance. Ontology is the science that deals with what is ultimately real. Epistemological. That is, epistemology means the science of knowledge. That means a Maya that pertains to the knowing context. In the other context, what is Maya? The mysterious creative urge that is inherent in the one ultimate reality that is Chit itself, that is Sat itself, that is Ananda itself. It is that creative urge inherent in the ultimate reality that makes it appear as this world in the epistemological context. On the other hand, the ontological Maya makes the apparent world appear to be real. And then we forget the existence of the causal reality and take what appears as the real. That is the effect of epistemological effect of Maya. That is related to the knowing context. We go wrong in our understanding. Here, the epistemological context of Maya is more meaningful. Maya Viduragam. If we understand everything as Chit in effect, it's Chit in essential content, then we are far away from the effects of Maya, and thus when we become far away from the effects of Maya, that means we become liberated. That itself is mukti, that it is not mentioned here. Now we come to verse 8. Chideva Nanyadabhadi. So this Abhadi, the word Abhadi, that comes related to Chit. Chit eva na anyat Abhadi. Other than Chit is becoming manifest shiningly. So if what is ultimately real is understood as Chit, then its Bhadi or the Bhana aspect itself is what we call the world. And how the consciousness reality can appear as this material world. It is what Maya is. Chideva Nanyadabhadi and Chidapparamadonagi. Higher than Chit, there is no other reality. Chidapparamadonagi. For this reason, there is no higher reality than Chit. Then, very subtle aspect of the relationship between Chit and Bhana or Bhadi is stated in the second half of the verse. Yachana Bhadi Tadasat. Suppose there is gold, it doesn't appear in the form of anything. Is it imaginable? No, it is not imaginable. If there is gold, it has to appear in the form of something, at least as the dust in the mind. That also is a form. In the same way, if there is consciousness, it has to shine manifestly. That is called Bhadi. Chidevananyada Bhadi. Chidapparamadodi. Yachanabhadi tadasat. If there is a Chit, it doesn't have a Bhadi. That means it doesn't shine in a manifest way, just as gold appearing in the form of a ring or chain. Such a Chit that doesn't have a Bhadi, it is asat. It is totally unreal. It cannot be real. Chanabhadi tadasat. Yadasat tanna bhadicha. And we cannot say that there is no bhadi here because the entire world is here, that is shining as existing. Our own existence is here. All these are bhadi. There is bhadi. But if there is a bhadi in the form of this world, there should be a causal substance. In this context, that substance is Chit. Chanabhadi tadasat. Yadasat tanna bhadija. That which is unreal can never be having bhadi. There is no context in which there is no bhadi. All that we see here is bhadi. Our own existence is a bhadi. Everything is a bhadi. Then there should be a sat behind it. And what is that sat in the present context? It is Chit. Yachana bhadi tadasat yadasat tanna bhadija. These two lines correspond with the verse 16 of the second chapter on the Bhagavad Gita. Nasato vidyate bhavo. Here it is Chit, that is basically contemplated on. There it is Sat, that is only different. Nasato vidyate bhavo. Na bhavo vidyate satah. Ubhayorapi drishto andastanayoho tattva. This was a very subtle lesson given by Narayana Guru to me. But he didn't teach anything. One day he asked me, take that Bhagavad Gita, read that verse. I read it. Do you see two there? I said, no. Ubhayorapi, that means two. Ubhayorapi drishto andastanayoho tattva. The secret between these two, do you see the two there? I said, no. If there is no two there, how can the word Ubhayo be used there? Then Rajaguru said, that means you didn't understand what dialectics is. This much was the lesson he gave me. This remained in my mind for 10 years, and then alone I got the same secret. If there is a gold, it has to appear in some form. If there are ornaments, there should be a gold reality behind it. There are two aspects here. What are they? Sat and Bhava. Here, Sat is gold. Bhava is the ornament forms. In the same way, in the case of the world, what is Sat? In the present context, it is Chit. But in the previous context, it was Sat. Whether you call it Sat or Chit, it exists. If it exists, it cannot exist without manifesting or appearing as something. Here, what is that something? It is the world. So, without appearing means that without having a bhava. This apparent form is called bhava. Sat is related to bhava. Chit is related to bhana. Ananda is related to priya. Without these two, even though these two can be conceived by us in our mind as separate ideas, we can think of the world as if it is an existing reality. We can think of Brahman as if it is a causal reality. But these are only your ideas. Actually, how does Brahman exist? In the form of the world. How does world exist? In the form of ornaments or dust or some other form. Without having this apparent form, without having this bhava, no sat can exist. And the asat can never have a bhava. A non-existing reality can never appear as the world. This is the secret I got revealed. It was a revelation to me after 10 years of Rajaguru Samadhi. The dialectics of Sat and Bhava. The oneness of the non-duality of Sat and Bhava. So the real existence is as the non-dual duality of Brahman or Atman and the world. What is that one reality? It is beyond words. If you want to say something about it, you have to say Brahman appearing in the form of the world. Without using these two terms, Brahman and the world, you cannot give expression to the non-duality of these two. Just as without knowing the world reality and the apparent ornament forms as differently conceived, you can conceive of them as different, but in actual existence, they are always inseparably one. In the same way, in the actual existence, Brahman and the world, Brahman is the Sat and the world is its Bhava. Without Bhava, no Sat can exist. Na asato vidyate bhava. The Asat can never have Bhava. The non-existence reality, no, it cannot become manifest. Asava vidyate bhava. Na bhava vidyate sataha. Bhava here doesn't mean non-existence. It means the absence of bhava. No abhava is there for na abhava vidyate sataha. Sat has always, it cannot be existing without bhava. Upayor abhidrushto andastaneho. There is a non-dual oneness of these two. Of these two means Sat and Bhava. That is understood only by true philosophers. It is not what Gita says. The same is the idea that we see here put in terms of Chit. Chideva nanyadapadi chidaparamagoti yachanapadi tadasat. That which does not become manifest and shine in the form of this world, it is asat, it is unreal. Yadasat tannapadi. That which is unreal can never appear as this world, cannot have this bhana experience of the world. Ananda eva asti bhadi nanyat kaschit ado akhilam ananda kanam anya navina anandena vidyate. Ananda eva asti bhadi. Ananda alone is that has existence, is asti. That alone is bhadi, manifestly shines, that is related to Chit, and asti is related to Sat. Ananda eva asti. Asti is related to Sat. So Ananda alone is manifestly experienced as the existence of a very individual entity. In the same way, bhadi. Ananda alone is that shines manifestly as mental faculties. How can you understand this? Ananda. What is this Ananda? This Ananda is very often misunderstood. When Satchit Ananda is the word compound word Satchit Ananda is used. This Ananda is not to be understood as simply happiness. I prefer to use the word value sense. Suppose you know something. Unconsciously you make an evaluation of it. What is it good for? How can I relate with it? So the value of the knowledge, whatever be the knowledge you have, immediately along with it, you make an assessment of its value. That value aspect is what is called Ananda. When that value aspect, that Ananda becomes manifest, it can be your Priya or Apriya. It can be your like or dislike. It can be your pleasure and pain. Pain is also an experience of value sense. In other words, Ananda, when negatively becomes manifest, it is pain and unhappiness. The same Ananda, when positively becomes manifest, it is pleasure, happiness. That is why always it is thought one who is able to both pain and pleasure equally in life, they only have real happiness, real Ananda in life. So that Ananda aspect it exists with, it can never be separated out from what exists. Whatever exists, it is known. Whatever you know, you assess, make an value assessment of it. In Western psychology, there are a set of terms: cognition, conation, and affection. Cognition means directly knowing something. Conation means relating it with your previous experiences and giving it a definite shape of it. Then affection. How does it affect you personally? Each person may have a different feeling of how it affects him or her. So that aspect is called affection. Here this Ananda, the term Ananda in Vedanta is very similar to the affection aspect in Western psychology. So the Ananda here is not as in the Western psychology as related to a psychological function. Here it is an all-inclusive function of consciousness. And that consciousness is what exists. And what exists, you also exist. What is the most valuable reality for you, for each of you? It is your own being. It is your own existence that is the most valuable thing for you. So that value aspect is the Ananda content in the reality. So it is said, Ananda eva. Ananda alone is what exists. Is this point clear? There is difference between Ananda and Paramananda. Ananda is the neutral value sense which can become manifest in your life as happiness and unhappiness. That is Ananda. When the same Ananda positively becomes manifest as your self-happiness, and when that self-happiness arises from your identity with Brahman, then it is Paramananda. You can say that Paramananda in this context, Paramananda is a sort of manifest form of Ananda. To say that Ananda is an aspect of Paramananda. Paramananda is the Ananda eva asti bhadi, that Ananda is Paramananda. That alone is that asti, existence of each individual, and bhadi, that alone is shining here as consciousness. So there also we see Ananda function. Then Paramananda is the one all-inclusive reality. It is called Paramananda only when you identify yourself that reality and you become lost in it. Otherwise it is not Paramananda. So this Paramananda and Ananda actually belong to two epistemological different contexts in Vedanta. So mixing up these two is very difficult. And Ananda eva asti padi, anyak kaschitadopila. Ananda ganam anyatna. That means Ananda in essential content is the reality. Just as we say consciousness is the essential content of the ultimate reality. Here it is said Ananda is the essential content of that reality. In the first context, Sat will say the Sat or the what? The self-existence is the essential content of the experienced existential reality. Suppose you admit an reality that admits as an all-inclusive one, but that it is only an idea, a concept in your mind. It becomes a living experience only as your own existence, personal existence. It is in that personal existence that you realize the same Sat as Ananda, then it becomes Paramananda. These are all different ways in which the same thing can be put, but finally these are not to be explained in a talk. These are very, very subtle terms. The meaning of them and the oneness of them are to be contemplated, meditated, and realized. We now have covered. First, we have covered sub aspect in the first initial verses, 6 verses. We have seen how the reality is sub by adopting the method Sabkarnava. And then by adopting the method of analysis, we arrived at the conclusion that the very same Sat is Chit in content. And now the very same Sat and Chit is experienced as Ananda. Can become actualized in life. This Ananda can be actualized in life both as pain and pleasure, happiness and unhappiness. So if you are capable of treating both happiness and unhappiness as of equal value in life, then you are Vedantis. Sarvam hi Satchidanandam Neha Nanasti Kinjana. I think it is clear to you. Sarvam hi Satchidanandam. Everything is Sat, Chit and Ananda in essence. Indeed, there is no questioning of it. Sarvam hi Satchidanandam. Neha Nanasti Kinjana. There is no Nanatva, multiplicity in this respect. That means only even though we have seen Sat and Sat, Chit, Ananda differently, all these are to be meditatively perceived as one, and that is Satchidananda, and that is what we have to attain. Sarvam hi Satchidananda. Nega nanasti kinchana. Here there is no question of having nanat multiplicity. Pasyadiga naneva. Suppose there is one who always perceives nanatva, multiplicity in what exists. Multiplicity is always related to what appears, not to the all underlying reality that always is one. So if one is constantly perceiving multiple entities alone in life, multiple entities, if they are there, then one arises, it exists for some time, it disappears. And this process goes on. That means it continues through birth, death, and life. So if you think of multiple entities as real, then birth is real, death is real, life is real, everything is real. Then you have to suffer it. So you go beyond the world of sufferings only when you do not see multiplicity. Multiple entities disappear when you see Satchidananda, becoming manifest as the world. You don't deny the apparent world. What is apparent before you? Brahman in the form of this world, in the Advaita Devika, at the very middle of it. People think why Narayana Guru wrote these 19 verses. It also presents the Satkarnavada and proves that the world is unreal. And the very middle of it, Narayana Guru says, Vishwam Vivega saying Sarvam Aswasthamakalam Adindriya Drishyamagam. The world is examined very closely, and it is found that, it was found that it is unreal. And after finding out all these things, you open your eyes and you see the world before you. How is it? Narayana Guru directly answers, it is only because of your avidya. What you see is Brahman. But instead of seeing it as Brahman, you see it as a world. Narayana Guru says, Jnaniki Sattulaga. People will say, no, it is Asattulaga. Jnaniki Asattulaga. No. Jnana always sees this world as Sat. What is Sat? The very same Satchidananda itself is the Sat there. So the Sat is what you see as the world. So when you see the world, instead of thinking of it as the world, you should be capable of perceiving it as the way in which the Brahman reality becomes manifest. It cannot exist without manifesting. Sat cannot exist without a bhava. The same way, Brahman cannot exist other than appearing as this world. When was this relevance of Brahman and all such things became meaningful in our life? And even the Vedanta philosophy became meaningful. It is only because this world is apparent before us as a kind of mystery. Then you think about it. So unless there is a world to think about, there is no Brahman, there is no Paramatman, there is no Vedanta. So the world, the existence of the world has first to be recognized. But finally, what you see in the apparent world form is not the world, but Brahman appearing in this mysterious way because of its Maya. It appears as this. There alone we have names and forms. Sarvam ki Sachidanandam, Neka Nanasti Kinjana. Murtyorsa Nitim Gachati. So when there is Nanatva, multiplicity, there is birth, there is death, everything that is phenomenal is thought of as real. This continues forever as long as you see Nanatva. Mrityorsa Mrityum Gacchati. So such a person who sees always Nanatva, he goes on from death to death, it continues forever. Neka Nanasti Kinjana. There is no Nana. Anatva here, only one reality. What is that reality? Brahman? No. Atman? No. The world? No. The oneness of all these. That is beyond words. That is no word.
Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti